Hello and welcome to Safe Schools. I'm Curtis Graves.
And I'm Andy Howard.
Andy, we have a great show today.
We do, Curtis.
We're going to talk about schools. We're going to talk about safety and making good decisions.
Absolutely. That's what this whole program is about, is, the relationship we have with the community leaders and the organizations that help us make Mobile and our schools a better place. And with that said, we have today with us a wonderful guest, Chief James Barber with the Mobile Police Department.
Welcome, Chief Barber.
All right, thank y'all for having me.
Chief, one of the initiatives along the conversation that we're having about what we can do to make Mobile a better place is a program that you've initiated, and we want to work in collaboration with you in this program. There's a DVD and there's a program that supports that DVD. Could you kind of elaborate a little bit about what the DVD is and
what the program
what the program is?
Well, absolutely, Andy. The entire, as we deal today with an entire generation of violent recidivist offenders, we understand in order to make the city of Mobile the safest city and make our community safe, we have to be able to turn that faucet off, or we're going to find ourselves doing the same thing 5 or 10 years from now. And the next generation of violent recidivist offenders are actually sitting in our classrooms today.
I think so.
Absolutely. And so we have to be able to provide them with some thought-provoking messages in education and understanding of what our laws are and to obey our laws and what consequences there are for choices, bad choices that are made.
To think about the consequences, to think about the alternatives. And that's a wonderful idea. And I think we're going to take a chance and try your idea out. And I think it's going to make a difference.
Very good idea. The program is called again, what?
You have a choice.
You have a choice.
You have a choice. And I'll tell you, Curtis, the reason it has that is the one place this program is not in is in the prison system, because those people that are in the prison system no longer have a choice.
They don't have a choice.
We're trying to get to people before they make the decision that's going to land them in prison, oftentimes for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. Those are the kinds of thoughts that I think make a difference in whether our young people, besides learn how to read, write, and count, make good decisions. That's important too. And with that said, we'd like to present to an audience a DVD called You Have a Choice.
This video recreates a senseless murder. It has been recreated to illustrate the out-of-control violence, its impact on the victim, the perpetrators, and our community, as well as the efforts of the Mobile Police Department to provide a combination of swift, fair law enforcement and help for young people who may be breaking our laws or under pressure to break them. 17-year-old Trayon Washington ended his life in any meaning it had in a split second. In that instant, he pulled the trigger on a pistol, killed a 40-year-old mother he didn't even know, and branded himself one of the most despicable individuals in human history, a murderer. Then he ran. For 3 days he found shelter wherever he could, subjected his friends and family to charges of harboring a fugitive, and tried to control the mounting panic as law enforcement closed in. I am Mobile Police Chief James Barber. Smart, determined, thoroughly trained and armed Mobile police officers used instant communications technology, science, undercover work, sophisticated interviewing techniques, criminal behavior tools, media cooperation, modern investigative procedures and databases to identify Washington within 48 hours of the murder and arrest him within 3 days. Washington was alone, a killer on the run with over 500 police officers and thousands of civilians looking for him.
We got a subject inside that refused to come out. It's barricaded, so I think we ought to start the SWAT team.
Go ahead and start swatting.
Get on the ground. Hands on your head, hands behind your head, hands on back of your head, hands on back of your head. Move.
He gave up without a fight. Washington decided to kill 2 people in the split second he took to pull that trigger, an unarmed woman and himself. He was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Now he is waiting to die of old age in prison. He isn't going home. He isn't going to the movies. He isn't going to have a job. He isn't going to have a family, and he isn't going to get a good night's sleep. He isn't going to enjoy a good meal. He isn't going to do anything except wait behind bars to die. His split-second choice, made in less time than a heartbeat, wasn't the only step he took to end his own life. He started breaking the law early. Perhaps it began like so many others I've seen, smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, using marijuana, hanging out with drug dealers and users. What I do know is that he obtained an illegal gun, loaded it, brandished it like a cowboy movie bandit, and killed with it when he was 17 years old. His decisions to break the law formed a chain of events that sealed his fate. If you have a juvenile record of serious offenses, you will not be eligible for youthful offender status. As in the case of Trayon Washington, you will be tried as an adult. Washington's experience with one unlawful action leading to another and then another is just like the experiences Holman and Tutwiler prison inmates described in their own words when former Mobile County District Attorney John Tyson Jr. interviewed them on videotape a few years ago. They got no breaks for telling their stories, no special privileges, only a chance to try to make something out of their lost lives by helping you.
Once they sentenced me to death, it was an experience that I'd never experienced before. Because I've been shot at, I've been had guns pulled on me and so on, but I never had to sit and wait to die. I laid up in that cell and I thought, I worried, I cried. When a man cried now, I cried, I was confused. I looked back over my life. I saw all the mistakes I made. I saw, well, I killed this man. Think about your family, think about your future. Weigh it out. Simply do it like this. Open your hand up. Look at your future. So where I got a freedom in his hand, and I got prison in his hand. I got my family in his hand. I got prison in his hand. I got education, a job in his hand. I got prison in his hand. I got my loved one. I got theater, my wife, my children. Freedom, prison. Now, if you had a choice, which hand you would choose? I think you would choose the left hand. You don't get caught. You know what I'm saying? You may get away 2-3 times, you may get away 20 times. More time you get away, the more chances you're gonna take.
I wished I could go back and take my parents' advice today. I wouldn't be here, I promise you. I would never make the same mistakes again. I'd listen to what they had to say to me, because I'm saying the same thing to my children today that my mother said to me. Lied about my age, got a job waitressing in a nightclub, and oh, that was great. That was wonderful. That just led me right on down the road a little further to getting into more trouble. Started smoking pot, and later on in life, I ended up in prison behind all that. I really believe that I just walked myself right into prison. Accomplice law is the same thing, okay? I have it spoken from the judge himself that I didn't participate in this crime, that I was only present at the scene. It was it was all in the newspaper. I mean, come on, but I'm charged with murder.
You don't want to be in here. You'd rather be out there on the streets, living under a bridge, than you had living in here. You got choices in life. And I made a stupid choice when I was about 17 years old to start smoking cigarettes, start drinking beer, and start smoking pot. Those 3 choices I made have ruined my life, have messed up my mother and father's life, how God only knows what it's done to my daughter that I hadn't seen in 19 years.
Life is precious. You live once and then you die. And if I know I can't take away the past, but I only can work towards the future. And if you got a life out there and you still young, you can become somebody. You don't have to take the wrong step like I did. I was charged with capital murder at the age 15. I had another charge, burglary theft, and then I violated my probation on another burglary theft. I got out on a Sunday out of detention center. I was 15, got out on a Sunday, and like 3 days later, I caught my capital murder case. Well, I didn't kill nobody, so I ain't worried about it. But then they tried me as an adult. Okay. If you have trouble, tell somebody, a school counselor, the church, a priest. If you have a mentor, someone you can look up to, or a best friend that you can confide in, tell someone.
The only thing that was different is I was an idiot. I was stupid. I was stupid. That's what was wrong with me. I didn't think about what I was doing. That's what I tell you. Don't.
Well, who would have had influence with you when you were 16?
Nobody.
Nobody. Not your mama, not your daddy,
No.
not your sisters, not anybody.
Not anybody.
You wouldn't listen to anybody about anything.
I come out lucky with what I do have, because I would have been on the other end down there, waiting for him to strap me down.
Other end, waiting to strap you down means death row, doesn't it?
Right. If you're willing to give your whole life up for that, just so you can, be a big man, and because you did this, well, go ahead and do it. You ain't gonna like it. You're gonna see that it was the stupidest mistake that you've ever made in your whole life.
And I know that times will come when other kids will try to get you to do things that you know in your heart. You know that they're wrong before you're even approached. You know, it's that little voice inside of you that says, I'm scared to do this. There will come a day when you'll pay that price. There'll come a day when you'll look back and you'll realize that you have thrown your whole life away, that time has passed you by. That other people have gone on with their lives. My middle daughter is like a stranger to me. I don't know her favorite color. I don't know, what kind of ice cream she likes. I don't know anything about her. But it's my fault. It's my fault. I brought these things on myself by the choices that I made in life.
Don't listen to the people that say they're your friends, they're your homeboys, they're your B dog, G brothers, none of that. Don't listen to that. Whatever you do, you take responsibility for yourself. Don't mark all that squareness, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you chump, you punk, all that. That don't mean jack. Because when you come here, if you have to come here, you're taking a very good chance of being just what they call you, a punk, a chump, and all that. Just hang in there, man. Go on and get your education, man. Graduate from high school. Enjoy the proms, you know what I'm saying? If you can, if you're able, go to college, try to better yourself, take on the responsibility, you know what I'm saying, for you, because once you come here, your choices, they're limited, your options, they're gone.
Nothing. There's nothing in this world worth coming here. I wish to God that I would have had you then. Man, if I would have had you then, I wouldn't be here now. It's too late. It's not because I love you or I know you. I don't know you from a man in the moon. This is my second time ever seeing you in life. But what was someone like you at then?
when I needed you. Be there for somebody. Just take time out, man. Go out there in the projects. And look, you'll find me every day. Every day you'll find me. I'm hurting by the millions out there. That's all you got to do is just listen to me.
It's tough for inmates in our prisons, real tough. Many of these people are still in prison. The only change in their lives is the gray hair on their heads. Alabama law says if you commit a violent crime, you will be charged as an adult. It says you are guilty of shoplifting if you are with someone who shoplifts. It says if you are convicted of 3 felonies, you will go to prison for the rest of your life. No parole. It is a die-in-prison sentence. Trayon Washington's half-brother, Pat Brown, who was with him at the shooting, was also convicted of murder. He is eligible for parole in the year 2054. I know it is tough for you too. Peer pressure, no father, problems at school, bullying on the school bus or at school, can't get along with your mom, step-parent hates you or abuses you, so-called friends trying to get you hooked on drugs so that they can control you, make money off of you, or use you for sex. Adults using you to commit crimes like shoplifting. I've seen much of what you've had to deal with in my 25 years as a police officer, but only you have experienced it and know the danger you are in. This is an emergency for you, so do what you would do in an emergency. Get away from the danger and ask for help. Call our office, flag down a patrol car, talk to the officer on the beat, go to a preacher, go to a teacher, a principal, or a coach. Ask for help. Use this number or this email address to reach our Family Intervention Team specialists. They are trained to get you the help that you need. We won't arrest you for asking for help. In fact, when we learn what you need, we will help you find it from the social agencies and volunteers that we know who can and will help you. We will even check back with you to see how you are doing. At the Mobile Police Department, we are using our authority, discipline, and technology to make Mobile the safest city in the nation for everybody by being very good at 2 things: finding and arresting those who break the law, and offering help and protection to those who obey our laws. Our help and protection is available for you when you choose to obey the law. Live safe. Don't be tricked by those who say it's fun or exciting or cool to break our laws. If you do, you, like Trayon Washington, will face the full power of the City of Mobile Police Department. Your life has value. I care about you because your life is important to me. It should be important to you as well. Learn to obey our laws. Separate yourself from those that don't obey them and ask for help if you need it. Choose to live safe. It's not too late. The fact that you are watching this video means you still have a choice.
And welcome back. And Chief, what a thought-evoking video. You have a choice. What prompted the thought process to, initiating this whole concept, and what went into coming up with the whole idea and making it happen? Wasn't something you just did in a day, was it?
No, it wasn't. It took quite a bit of time to actually put this together, and of course you saw a senseless homicide in there, and 2 people's lives were lost that day. It was the victim that was killed, who was the mother of 2, but then you also had the young man that pulled the trigger that day. His life is over, and so as he spends his life in prison. And so those types of spontaneous, just bad choices that can completely ruin the lives of so many people, and when you think about that, how many people were affected by that one decision, that one bad decision?
In a minute's time, less than a minute's time.
In about a heartbeat, that decision was made.
And life changed.
And these 2 guys were brothers, right? The ones that went to prison.
Yes, yes.
Right. The impact that plays not only on the victim's family, but the perpetrator's families as well.
Well, you know, and something else, Curtis, when I was talking about that it is a learning experience, and so, you know, we can learn by making bad choices ourselves, and we can learn through trial and error, but you can also learn a lot by watching somebody else make a mistake. And that's what we're trying to get across to them, is don't make these types of decisions, and they can learn from what these inmates are trying to tell them, is that you have a choice out there. You have a choice between freedom and prison, and you've got to make good decisions.
And you've already shared the video with some audiences in the schools and as well as in the youth center. What's been the feedback that you've gotten since that?
You know, very positive, and I think you know that not only in the school systems, but we've shared it with adult audiences. We've had huge demand for this video that people want to show their children or their grandkids. It's been shown in churches, it's been shown at the jail. And so, but you know, not only are we reaching out to people already involved or young people involved in at-risk behavior, but this is an all-kids program. You know, all too often I think what you see is when the police and young people come into contact, it's in an adversarial way. Somebody's either called the police or they're involved in some type of activity that has drawn the attention of the police. And what we're trying to do is get into the school systems through the family intervention team and be able to have interaction with our young people as police officers in a non-adversarial way. And so you see the video also identify the police officer as a source of safety and help. But if you think about the way we raise our children and you see a uniformed police officer walk by some young kids with their parents, and you almost always hear them say, you see that guy right there, he is going to put you in jail. And so you end up creating this fear and almost instilling within them that there's an adversarial relationship between police and young people. And we're trying to break that. I would love the opportunity to have parents, when they point at a uniformed officer and say, if you ever need help, that person will help you.
That emblem on the side of the car, protect and serve.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And we want to improve, change, correct that dynamic where, you know, our community, our young folks begin to perceive, you know, that this is where you go and what you do when things need attention. Hopefully, if young folks make good decisions, they won't find themselves in the circumstances those people, those inmates had to find themselves in. They're making good choices, making good decisions. They know now, those inmates do, and I'm sure they wish they had known better, chosen better, before they found themselves in those circumstances.
And you hear that through their testimonials. You know, the difference is you don't get that bullet back once you pull that trigger. When it leaves that gun, it's gone. And the ramifications of that are done. They're sealed, and your fate is sealed at that moment.
Absolutely.
Well,
it takes a few seconds.
Well, in addition to the DVD, and we've talked candidly about this program before, there are so many other aspects of this program. Let's talk about some of those things that are other segments or other parts of that program.
Well, you know, you've had the family intervention team on this particular show, and you know, a lot of what people don't realize that the police do, they understand the arrest, incarceration part of the police is to work these crimes and find out who did it, identify them, make that apprehension, and then assist in the prosecution of that individual. People understand that the police do that. What they don't understand is that we are also very good at providing protection and safety for our young people. And so the family intervention team through the GRAPE programs and all the other programs are now part of the two-pronged approach of the police department to do both the arrest and incarceration, but also to provide protection, safety, and crime prevention. Probably in unprecedented ways today, that we understand that unless we want to be doing the same thing and dealing with violent recidivist offenders 10 years from now, just like we are today, that we have got to do something different.
Proactive versus reactive, you know, that's been the dynamic for so long, is that we've had to respond reactively to events that have changed lives, but we'd like to change their lives proactively prior to and instead of these negative outcomes that can happen when in a split second when a person makes a bad decision.
Well, you're right, Andy. You know, the thing is that if you keep in mind the vision of making the city of Mobile the safest city in the country, arrest and incarceration, or being able to identify who committed the murder, is not the way to get there so much as it is to prevent the murder from ever occurring. And so that's where we're headed in the prevention side. It's difficult to measure how much crime you can prevent, but there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that programs like this are the key to be able to turn off the next generation of violent offenders.
And how vital is education to this whole process? People underestimate the level of importance the education has on the lives of children in the elementary setting. You know, there are studies that have shown how prisons are determined, and it's based on the reading levels of children as young as in the 3rd grade. That's a very important aspect of what we're talking about, and why your program is important, from not just the perspective of saying, hey, you have a choice when it comes down to pulling the trigger or not pulling the trigger, but you also have a choice in sitting down in a classroom, getting the education that's being provided to you, being a parent that is interested in their child's education, vested in their child's education, and their well-being.
Well, and again, Curtis, you're right. The reality of the world we live in is that we have parents, and we all talk about the lack of parenting and the lack of interest in parents and education and teaching kids values. And the reality of the world we live in is that that's a fact, and we're not going to make good parents out of some people. And so we are going to have to, as a community, be able to intervene in the lives of children that are already on a bad track or on a bad path, and be able to support them and teach them what they are not learning at home.
Right.
Well, we are, you know, it's the life-changing scenario we're talking about here. We're talking about mothers, fathers, sons and daughters whose lives can have in some way been forever changed by decisions that they've made. And, you know, introducing this idea, this program, it's going to make a difference, I hope. We have been grateful for your effort at making something like this happen and serving our community. And I look forward to seeing some positive results and impact in our student population and our larger community. Thanks for appearing on Safe Schools.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, absolutely. Thank y'all for having me.
And please view Safe Schools.